Imagine you're at an art show. Everyone's wearing their best serious face. They're nodding like they're getting wisdom transmitted directly into their skulls. And then a stranger stands up, throws a chair, reads a poem made entirely of syllables that sound like a washing machine falling downstairs, and calls it truth. Welcome to Dada, the art movement that looked at the world and said, no, absolutely not. This whole thing is broken. This is Art Happens, the divine mess of art history, presented by J-Squared Atelier. I'm James William Moore, and today we're doing movement in about 10 minutes. Today's episode, Dada, Art Throws a Chair, when anti-art became the loudest art in the room. Dada doesn't show up because artists are bored. Dada shows up because the world just watched itself commit a spectacular act of self-destruction. World War I. Millions dead. Empires collapsing. Technology and progress suddenly look like they've been weaponized by the very people who promised civilization was getting better. So a bunch of artists and writers start asking a terrifying question. If the so-called rational world created this nightmare, why are we still pretending the old rules make sense? And that's the doorway Dada kicks open, boots first. A lot of Dada's origin myth begins in Zurich, Switzerland, neutral territory during the war. Artists and intellectuals who fled the madness, gathering cafes and little performance spaces. The big one? Cabaret Voltaire. And the vibe is not quiet contemplation. It's closer to art as a fire alarm. Performances, noise, cut-up poetry, masks, nonsense chanting. They're making art that refuses to behave, because polite art suddenly feels like complicity. Dada isn't here to decorate the world. Dada is here to heckle it. Here's the trick. Dada uses nonsense on purpose, not because they can't be serious, but because seriousness has been used to justify violence, nationalism, propaganda, and logic that ends in mass graves. So Dada says, if your system claims to be logical and your logic produced this horror, then I'm going to answer you with a poem that sounds like a goose with stage fright. That's not childish. That's strategy. Dada makes nonsense into a protest sign. One of Dada's favorite weapons is collage. Why? Because collage looks like how the world feels now. Fragmented, shattered, stitched together from headlines and lies. Instead of painting a perfect scene, they rip up newspapers, ads, political images, machine diagrams, and rebuild reality out of scraps. It's like the art is saying, look, the culture is already a mess. I'm just rearranging the evidence. And this becomes a whole language. Photomontage, cut and paste, visual sabotage. Art as remix. Art as interruption. And now we need to talk about the thing that still makes people furious at the museums. The readymades. This is where Dada says, what if I don't make something beautiful? What if I just choose something ordinary and place it in the sacred temple of art? Enter Marcel Duchamp. He takes everyday objects, mass-produced, unglamorous, and declares them art through context. And the most infamous example? A urinal. Signed, titled Fountain. The art world screaming internally. Some people still haven't recovered. But here's the point. Duchamp isn't just trying to shock you. He's asking, who gets to decide what art is? Is art about skill or about ideas? If I change the frame, do I change the meaning? And if your answers feel automatic, why? Dada doesn't just make art. Dada pokes the hidden rules behind art until they squeal. Dada often gets labeled as random, but it's not just randomness for fun. It's chaos with a purpose. Because when the world is incoherent, making coherent art can feel like lying. So Dada speaks the language of breakdown, glitches, fragments, absurdity, abrupt cuts. It's like the movement is saying, you want order? Prove you deserve it. And in that way, Dada becomes a kind of artistic mirror, reflecting the instability everyone else is trying to ignore. Dada doesn't stay in Zurich. It pops up in Berlin with sharper political teeth, photomontage like a knife fight with propaganda. It shows up in New York with playful provocations and gallery-level pranks. It ripples through Paris, where it starts mutating towards something dreamier. And eventually, it helps give birth to surrealism. So even though Dada loves to shout, anti-art, it ends up being wildly influential art, which is honestly the most Dada thing possible. Here's why Dada still hits. Because we live in a world that can feel absurd, violent, irrational, and overloaded with noise. And Dada offers a blueprint for what artists do when reality becomes unbearable. They don't just escape, they interrupt. They disrupt the smooth surface. They reveal the machinery. They make you notice. Dada reminds us that art isn't always a window. Sometimes it's a brick through the window. And sometimes that brick is labeled fountain. So if you ever hear someone say that's not art, just remember, Dada heard that first and framed it. Dada wasn't trying to be understood. It was trying to wake you up. This has been Art Happens, the divine mess of art history, presented by J-Squared Atelier. I'm James William Moore, and I'll see you on the next episode. But before you go, if you want more art talk with living, breathing artists, come hang with me on Lattes and Art. It's coffee-fueled conversations with contemporary creators about process, inspiration, and the messy reality behind the work. Search for Lattes and Art wherever you listen.